each other through it. Come on and see, good movement draws good movement.
Welcome to Good Movement Draws Good Movement, the podcast where farmers, ranchers, and rural folks can grow relationally through awareness, understanding, and effective communication. Hey, it's T. I'm your host, and I, along with my guests, will be covering topics related to drawing good movement. Things like self and social awareness, brain science, positive psychology, extending grace, and so much more. We'll share tools that can help you understand why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, and how you can use that to step out of self-told lies with grace and compassion to draw good movement in conversations, relationships, and life in rural America. Let's go draw good movement. Welcome back to the Good Movement Draws Good Movement podcast. Today, on the day that I'm recording this, I happened to get a DM in my inbox on Instagram, and the DM read something like this. I have a young daughter who gets pretty worked up, and we try to help her, and all I can think of is not to tell her to stop crying. Do you have any helpful tips? And the first thing that I told her when I responded was, parenting is rough. Because it is really rough. And then I went into some tips that I hope are helpful for her, some advice that I hope is helpful. But as I was reading it, I couldn't help but think of common phrase that gets thrown around to kids, or at least it did for us millennials and elder millennials, and that is, you better quit crying or I'll give you something to cry about. And I also remembered that a while back, like in April, I went to Threads. I thought I'd done it on Instagram too, but it turns out I only went to Threads and did this. I posted, what were the phrases you heard growing up? The ones that weren't super helpful, but were thrown around all the time. And so I revisited that and read what people wrote in and recalled some conversations I've had surrounding that, and decided to record a podcast episode about it. And so we're going to get into the advice I shared with the gal that wrote in and some of the phrases that weren't super helpful but got thrown around a lot. But before we do that, if you've been thinking about diving deeper than just the cast pod into your inner work, you can schedule a free 30-minute call with me where we can connect face-to-face via Zoom and talk about what that might look like for you. Visit the link in the show notes and mention CastPod when you schedule to get 10% off one-on-one good movement guidance. Okay, so I went back to Threads and collected what people had written in. Some of them were missing, which is weird, but that's a different story. When I wrote that question on Threads, I also included some of the phrases that I heard a lot growing up, which included, welcome to the real world, get a better attitude, suck it up, buttercup. And then what was written in, quit feeling sorry for yourself because I said so. And this last one, when I read it, it broke my heart. I will always love you, but I don't like you. And then, of course, the one that I talked about in the intro, you'd better quit crying or I'll give you something to cry about. So I just want to take a minute and go through each of these and talk about what makes them unhelpful. Welcome to the real world. Whenever I heard this growing up, what I needed wasn't for anybody to fix whatever was going on. I just needed a place where I could talk about what was going on and feel seen and heard and validated and not, well, that's the shits. Welcome to the real world. That's what happens here. I already know that. We already know that. It kind of goes back to something I said a while back about life is rough. And we don't need to teach kids that life is rough because life is going to teach that lesson all on its own. we need to provide a safe space where they can come back to when life teaches that lesson. And so that's kind of like what I needed when I heard Welcome to the Real World. And there's Get a Better Attitude. This one always confused me. Like, what is a better attitude? Like, I recognize that I'm sad or angry right now, but what's more appropriate for the situation that I've just been through? Should I be happy that my boyfriend broke up with me? Should I be happy that I got in an argument with my friend? Like, get a better attitude. It's always been perplexing to me. Maybe I'll do an entire episode about that one on its own because in my mind and having done the work that I've done, I don't think anyone needs to have a better attitude, but the appropriate attitude. Like if something has happened and anger is appropriate, then have an attitude of anger. Anyway, I digress. Suck it up, buttercup. Ugh. And I understand why this one got thrown around, like things are tough and we kind of need to keep going and step it up and what have you. And also, I needed a safe space to talk about what was rough. And I feel as though we can suck it up better, quicker, easier when we can talk about what's tough and air it out and shed some light on it. Okay, quit feeling sorry for yourself. This is one that came in on Threads, and I Googled this one and read a little bit about it. Why, because I feel like this is really common. Quit feeling sorry for yourself. And what was coming up was feeling sorry for yourself is having a victim mentality. Okay. And when you're a little kid and you're having a hard time, I don't think kids can play the victim. I think kids actually need some help in that area. And the person that wrote this in said, "Oh, maybe I was just too soft." And I responded, "You were not too soft. You were a kid who needed to feel safe and seen and heard and loved." And the irony is, if safety and being seen and heard and loved is what the kid was met with, then they would quit feeling sorry for themselves, I'm using air quotes, a lot quicker. Oh, okay. The one that gets thrown around that's pretty common that we've all heard, "You'd better quit crying or I'll give you something to cry about." Okay, clearly if a kid is crying, they already have something to cry about. So maybe a hug. But it's unhelpful when we say that because we're saying whatever it is that's got you crying is not valid and you shouldn't be crying about it and you need to dry it up right now. And all that does is teach a kid to shove it down and hide it. And as we have discussed at length on this podcast, when we shove emotions and feelings down, they do not just magically disappear. They just build and build and build and build and build until they come out in really extreme reactions, illness, you know, poor communication, all the things. And this one is kind of like the last one too. The irony is that if you provide the child safety and listen to them and really truly see them, they're going to quit crying sooner rather than later. Because I said so, I also heard this one a little bit growing up. And again, the work that I've done and being a parent myself now, I recognize now that kids are curious. Obviously, I didn't pick up on that when I was a kid, but now I can see kids are insanely curious And if you can communicate with them the why behind what you're telling them, they're much more likely to oblige. Just saying because I said so is going likely going to lead you to more questions, maybe some pushback or resistance from the kid. And because I said so and not giving any other explanation can lead kids to blindly following whatever authority is in their midst and never questioning. And I don't necessarily think that is the best thing. Okay, the last one, the one that broke my heart. I will always love you, but I don't like you. That is unhelpful because it's saying, I don't like who you are. The way that you are showing up is not pleasant for me to be around. You need to be different. There's all different sorts of ways a kid can perceive this and feel like they are inadequate or something's wrong with them or they need to be different. I will always love you, period. I will always love you, period. Now, I understand as a parent that sometimes when kids are absolutely losing their mind and having big feelings, it's really hard and we don't love the behavior, the wailing, the choosing of violence, the throwing toys, all the things that come with a little kid having big feelings. I understand that that's really, really hard. And maybe we don't necessarily like those behaviors, but saying, I don't like you, it's not just unhelpful, it's harmful. So I will always love you, period. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of those, and maybe you have some of your own, and if you do and you want to talk through them, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email. I would be happy to hear them and talk through them with you if you would like. Now that we've been through those, though, I want to talk a little bit about the question that came in on my Instagram DMs and how I responded. So again, she says, I have a young daughter who gets pretty worked up, and we try to help her. And all I can think of is to not tell her to stop crying. Do you have any helpful tips? To which I responded, it can be so rough when our kids are melting down and we're not sure what to do to help them or when nothing we do seems to help. The first thing that I do when my kids are having big feelings, and my kids are quite a bit older now, and I didn't have these tools when they were younger, but the good news is that it's never too late to start implementing them. And so, okay, that was like a side tangent. The first thing I do when my kids are having big feelings and are worked up is take a minute or two to ground myself before I say anything to them. I need to be calm in order to help them get back to calm and rest and digest. So I take a minute or two to ground myself. I take some long, slow, deep breaths. And my inhale is long and slow, but my exhale is even slower. Then I validate their feelings with something like, I can see you're really angry or sad or scared or whatever it is. Your feelings are not too big for me, and I will sit here with you while you feel them. I'll ask them if they want a hug or if they want to talk about it and proceed accordingly because sometimes they don't want a hug. Although I would really always like to give them a hug because I feel like it does help them get back to rest and digest faster. But if they don't want it, then I'll proceed accordingly. And sometimes they don't want to talk about it, but I am willing to sit there with them in those feelings. If they are having big feelings and about to choose violence with their siblings or be a bit destructive with things, I will validate them and let them know that they will not be hitting their sister or throwing things. So I'll say something like, I can see you're really angry. I get that. I get really angry sometimes too. Your feelings are not too big for me, and I will sit here while you feel them. And I will not let you hit your sibling or throw that toy or whatever it is my bigger kids have in their hand that they're about to throw. Because I think sometimes we think that if we validate our kids' feelings instead of just shutting them down with something like, if you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about, that's letting them do whatever they want to do. No, we can absolutely validate our kids' feelings and not let them behave in violent, destructive ways. I can see you're really angry, and I will not let you hit your sibling or throw that toy. But letting them know that you see that and that feeling is not too big for you to be with them, and letting them also know that you will not be letting them throw punches or toys or whatever it is. It's not an either or, it's a both and. You can both be validating and sit with them and not let them hurt themselves, hurt things, hurt others. And that piece lets them know that you are a safe space because you are protecting them. You're protecting them, you're protecting the things and people around them. You are safe and protective. And so the next time they have a big feeling, they will hopefully feel like they can come to you and express that big feeling without having this big over the top reaction. And also, I just want to say that again, I did not know all of these things when my kids were little. And so this has been a learning experience for me, and it has changed the way that I have parented so much. I think I've mentioned on the podcast before that I used to say, you can be angry, but you can't be angry here. So go to your room. Okay, well, what that did was teach the kids that it wasn't okay to be angry in public or out loud, that it wasn't safe for them to experience and show their anger around me. And so, even though I know this now and it's never too late to start implementing these things, it is a little bit of unlearning for them because I'm showing up differently, but I didn't in the past. And so it's work on my part to prove and show that I am safe for them to experience big feelings now. And that brings me to the last piece that I shared with the gal that wrote in to my DMs. And that is grace and repair. We are never going to get it right all of the time with our kids or with other humans. And that's okay. Never losing our own cool isn't the most important thing. How we repair after is far more impactful. And I will say, it's never too late to repair. Remember the time that I apologized to our middle daughter 7 years after the thing that I said that wasn't very cool to say to a 4-year-old? It's never too late to repair. Never too late to say, I was wrong and I'm sorry. And don't forget to give yourself grace. Because, like I said, we are all humans and we're not going to get it right 100% of the time. And parenting and lifing and adulting and humaning is all really freaking hard. So give yourself some grace. If this episode resonated with you and you'd like to dive deeper into this inner work, visit the link in the show notes to schedule a free 30-minute call. And don't forget to mention CastPod for a 10% discount on one-on-one guidance. And with that, until next time, draw a good movement. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you. If you found value in this episode, I'd love for you to share with others who might also benefit from tuning in. Share by word of mouth, send it in a text, take a screenshot and post it on social media, or share however you prefer. And if you haven't already, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, draw good movement.